You know, most people think that musicians, that we're pretty one-dimensional kind of people, that all we think about is music and practicing and music and the instrument and music and the composers and classical musicians. You know, people think we're completely focused on only one thing, that we wake up, we go through our entire day, and we fall asleep having thought of nothing but music. Some people would probably even say that musicians are not the brightest people when it comes to things other than music. But I'm here to tell you, I don't agree with that. I actually think and wonder about a lot of things, not just musical stuff. For a couple months ago, it was a really beautiful, beautiful autumn day. It was actually like an Indian summer day. It was just so nice outside, I thought, I'm going to take my lunch to the park and eat it there. So I took my sandwich out to the park, and I found a place in the grass to sit down. And as I was sitting there, I was just amazed at the beauty of nature. I mean, there was like a beautiful blue sky, and there were a few clouds wafting by, and they were wafting. And I could hear the birds singing all around, feel the sun on me, and I just sat there in that moment, and I thought, this is truly, truly beautiful. And the sandwich wasn't bad either, I gotta tell you. Because I distinctly remember this. It was a chicken salad sandwich. And I love chicken salad sandwiches. Sometimes you'll get a chicken salad sandwich, and like the cubes of chicken, they're just so big. It's not really a chicken salad sandwich. It's more like the whole chicken. But this is just the perfect one. And I think it had a little pickle relish too. That just made it exactly really, really nice. And it was on whole wheat bread. I remember that too, because sometimes I make a mistake and I'll get whole grain when I mean to say whole wheat. Now both are healthy for you, I have to admit. But I tell you, the whole grain, sometimes it could just taste a little bit like cardboard. So I prefer the whole. Anyway, I'm digressing completely. I was sitting there and just lost in the beauty of this moment, enjoying my sandwich. And at one point, I happened to look down in front of me, and I noticed something. I mean, it was something I'd seen hundreds and hundreds of times before, but it was as if I saw it for the first time. You know those kind of things when that happens. I looked down, and there in front of me was this little bee just buzzing around the Pringles potato chips I'd brought with me. And he just kept buzzing and buzzing and buzzing around them. And at one point, he started doing figure eights around the Pringles. And I was just captivated, just looking at that scene right in front of me. And it hit me for the very first time in my life. Pringles potato chips are all exactly the same size and shape. And of course, then that got me wondering, I'm sitting there wondering, where do they get potatoes like that, you know? Or are these really potatoes even, you know? I mean, I think these are the kind of things I think about. I'm no dumb musician here. The other night I was brushing my teeth, and I was squeezing toothpaste out of the toothbrush, and it hit me for the first time. The thousands of times I've done this, but the first time it hit me, how do they get that toothpaste in that little tube? And so being the curious guy that I am, I thought, well, I'm going to try, I'm going to practice. So I squeezed a little extra out, and then I tried to put it back. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, it's not easy to do. You can't really get it back in. So, see, these are the kind of things I think about. These are the kind of things that keep me up at night. You know, that global warming and the national debt, stuff like that. And at Christmas time, I start wondering about a whole bunch of other things. I mean, picture this. It's like we're told 3 BC the year in ancient Palestine, and a decree went out that there was to be a census. So Mary and Joseph had to go to Bethlehem to be counted. Now, the Bible kind of gives the highlights, but it doesn't give a lot of specifics. We do know that they made it on a donkey. Now, imagine that, a donkey. I mean, going 70 miles today in a car might not seem like much, but imagine doing that on a donkey. Of course, then that begs the question, what kind of donkey was this? And again, the Bible doesn't give a lot of details on this, but let's say for kicks, let's just say it was like a 13 BC model. Not the newest one on the block, but not an old clunker either. So I often wonder, I think, what was that road trip? What did that sound like with Mary and Joseph and that donkey? I mean, was there a point where, like, Mary was all like, Joseph, Joseph, watch out, you're getting too close to that other donkey. Joseph, you're getting too close to that other... And was Joseph all like, well, Mary, are you saying, do you want to come up here and steer the donkey? Is that what you're saying, Mary? If you want to come up and steer... No, Joseph, I'm just saying, just be careful, be careful. And a few miles later, this big camel comes careening around the corner and just about to cut him off, and Mary jumps in and she's like, Joseph, look out for that camel. And Joseph's like, well, Mary, it was in my blind spot. How am I supposed to see when it's in my blind? And look at Mary, it's one of those Samaritans up on that camel. You know, they think they own the roads out here. Who is he trying to impress? It's always me, me, me with those Samaritans. Just once, Mary, I would like to see one of them put somebody else besides himself first. If they ever did that, they put that guy in the book. And then Mary's all like, now, Joseph, watch your blood pressure. And Joseph, well, not that they had blood pressure back then. Well, I mean, they had blood pressure. You know, and Joseph's like, no, Mary, I really mean it. If the Samaritan did something nice for somebody, they'd write about that guy. And Mary's like, okay, Joseph, from your lips to God's ears. But Joseph, we need to be finding a place to stay because she was with child. This baby, God himself, was about to be born into the world, and yet there would be no room for God himself at the inn. And I think about that a lot when a hotel has lost my reservation. It makes it a little hard to get too upset, you know, it kind of puts everything in perspective. But these are the kind of things I start thinking about at Christmas. I think and wonder about Joseph, what an honorable man he was in everything that he did. I think about Mary and the incredible courage that she showed from the time that angel first appeared to her to that long trip into Bethlehem. I often wonder, of all the people around, why was it that God had a few shepherds be the first people to come and visit the baby? And I often wonder about that baby who would grow into that man who would preach gospels about justice and kindness. And I wonder about that man who would be betrayed by his friends. And I often wonder about that man who in the end was treated about as cruelly as a human being could be treated, and yet his last words were about love and forgiveness. So when I'm running around at Christmas time and I'm going to that Christmas party and this Christmas party and trying to get all the perfect gifts and get them all wrapped and make sure that everybody in Santa's list is everything, I also try to take a little bit of time to wonder about that other stuff too.